So this video, we're going to solve absolute value inequality problems one more time. These are actually the hardest these problems ever get. And they're really not that hard. It's just that they're going to take a couple steps for us to isolate the absolute value. So for example, solve the first one here. So for absolute value of x plus 1 plus 2 is less than 38. So if I look at this problem, here is the absolute value part. So that's the part I have to get all by itself. So the first thing that I want to do is I want to take this plus 2 and I want to move it to the other side. So I'm going to subtract 2 from both sides. So we're going to have 4 absolute value of x plus 1 less than 36. And we're going to divide both sides by 4. So we're going to have the absolute value of x plus 1 is less than, so 36 divided by 4 is 9. And so now if I look at this problem, the absolute value part is all by itself. It's less than a positive number. So now we're at a point where we can split it, right? So I have the negative case and the positive case. So x plus 1, remember we have to flip the sign, is greater than negative 9. X plus 1 is less than positive 9. I'm going to subtract 1 from both sides. So x is greater than negative 10. Subtract 1 from both sides. X is less than 8. And so now if I draw that on a number line, so here's negative 10, here's 8. Draw this first part here. So x is greater than negative 10. So open circle at negative 10 and to the right. In blue, x is less than 8. So open circle at 8 and draw to the left. And then because they overlap, we want to take the place where they overlap. So it's going to be a parenthesis because we have an open circle at negative 10 all the way up to 8 with another parenthesis because we have an open circle at 8. So part B, oops, keep doing that, keeping a different color. So part B here, let's try this problem. So 7, absolute value of x plus 3 minus 1 less than negative 29. So again, here's that absolute value part. That's the part we want to get all by itself. So what we're going to do first is add 1 to both sides. And if I do that, I get 7 times the absolute value of x plus 3 is less than negative 28. And then I'm going to divide everything by 7. So we end up with the absolute value of x plus 3 is less than negative 4. Okay, so now this is one of those special cases, if you remember from a couple videos back. I have the absolute value all by itself, but now it's less than a negative number. So remember that the absolute value is always positive. Whatever happens on this left-hand side, it's always going to be positive. And so a positive number is never going to be less than a negative number. So this is that case where you get no solution, or no solutions. So I have 2 more. So part C, 7 times the absolute value of x minus 3 minus 2 is greater than or equal to 40. So again, here is the absolute value of x minus 3. We're going to try to get that all alone. So the first thing I'm going to do is add this 2 to both sides. So I get 7 times the absolute value of x minus 3 is greater than or equal to 42. I now have this 7 out in front of this absolute value. So again, this is the part, this absolute value part is the part I'm trying to get all by itself. So I need to divide both sides by 7. Here they cancel out. And so now I get the absolute value of x minus 3 is greater than or equal to, so 42 divided by 7 is 6. And so now, if I look, I have the absolute value all by itself. It's greater than or equal to a positive number, so that works out perfectly. So we're going to look at the negative case and that positive case. So in the negative case, we have x minus 3. Remember, I'm going to flip that sign, so it's going to become less than or equal to negative 6. And then x minus 3 is greater than or equal to positive 6. I'm going to add 3 to both sides. So x is less than or equal to negative 3. Add 3. Add 3. X is greater than or equal to 9. And now I'm going to draw each of these on a number line. So here's negative 3. Here's 9. So less than or equal to negative 3. So close circle at negative 3. And we're going to shade to the left. Greater than or equal to 9. Close circle at 9, and we're going to shade to the right. And then I need to take each of these pieces, so this piece and this piece. So it's going to be from minus infinity, remember infinities get parentheses, to negative 3 with a bracket, because that was a closed circle. Union, bracket, again because at the 9 there's a closed circle, to infinity, but infinities always get those parentheses. So I have one more problem here for us to look at. So 9 times the absolute value of x minus 7 plus 38 is greater than 2. So once again, here's that absolute value. I want to get it all by itself. So the first thing I'm going to do is subtract 38 from both sides. And if I do that, I have 9. Absolute value of x minus 7 is going to be greater than negative 36. We still have this 9 being multiplied times the absolute value, so we have to divide both sides by 9. And we get the absolute value of x minus 7 is greater than negative 6, since negative 36 divided by 9 is negative, that should be negative 4, shouldn't it? That's why I should use my calculator. So, negative 36 divided by 9 is negative 4. Okay, and so now I have my absolute value all by itself. But on this other side here, I have a negative number. So again, this is one of those special cases, and you kind of have to pause to see what's going on. So again, remember the absolute value stuff always comes out to be a positive number. And we're looking for when is this positive number going to be greater than negative 4. And so a positive number is always greater than a negative number, no matter what. So no matter what this side turns out to be, because it's positive, it's always going to be bigger than negative 4. So what we have to do is we're going to draw our number line. Oops. We don't actually have to draw the number line. Go and do that. Okay, so as I said, it is always greater than negative 4. And so because it's always greater than negative 4, the answer here is just going to be all reals. So we're talking about all real numbers. If we were going to write that in interval notation, it would be from minus infinity to infinity. But Alex does have a button that you can click on for all reals.